name is Juwan Graham, and I am an MBA student enrolled in Dr. Emily Hammer's International Human Resource Management course for the spring of 2019 at West Texas A&M University. I will be presenting aspects of Canada for a multinational enterprise to consider. Demographic information for a newly established multinational enterprise in Canada. For the year 2019, it is estimated that Canada has a population of 32.28 million people. It is ranked as having the 38th largest population in the world. It also has the largest total area in North America and is the second largest country in the world behind Russia. Each year, more than 90,000 foreign workers enter Canada on a temporary basis to help address skill shortages and provide specialized services across the country. In 2009, 82% of Canadian women that were past 25 were working. And according to the World Population Review, Canada's Aboriginal people are growing at twice the national rate. While 4% claims an Aboriginal identity, another 16% belongs to a non-Aboriginal visible minority. Nearly 22% of the population is now foreign born, and about 60% of new immigrants come from China and India. Canadian historical information. John Cabot made a claim on Newfoundland in 1497 for England, but it was not settled by Great Britain until 1610. Jacques Cartier placed a claim on Canada for France when he explored the St. Lawrence River between 1534 and 1542. Present-day Nova Scotia was claimed for France by Pierre de Monts and Samuel de Chapillon in 1604. The tribes of the Huron, Wendat, Iroquois, Cree and Dene, Sioux, Inuit, and West Coast Aboriginals were already established in each of the regions of Canada when the British and French arrived. During the 17th century, the English colonies had begun to surpass New France, and war ensued. The British won the war at Quebec City in 1759 and changed the name to the province of Quebec. Pertinent political information for a newly established multinational enterprise in Canada. The Conservative Party is a natural ally of multinational enterprises in Canada because this party favors lower tax rates and reduced regulation of large businesses. They place heavy emphasis on free trade through the Trans-Pacific Partnership and lean towards reduced government expenditures. While the New Democratic Party lies at the opposite spectrum, the socially moderate Liberal Party holds a financially conservative viewpoint that also makes them an ally of multinational enterprises. The Dominion of Canada emerged as a result of the British North American Act that was approved on July 1, 1867 by British Parliament. The Dominion of Canada was comprised of Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. The province of Manitoba joined the Dominion in 1870 along with the Northwest Territories. British Columbia joined the following year as a province. The province of Prince Edward Island united with the Dominion in 1873. In 1880, the Arctic Islands became a part of the Northwest Territories. In 1898, the Yukon Territory was established as part of the Dominion of Canada. In 1905, Alberta and Saskatchewan became provinces. Next, Newfoundland and Labrador would become the last provinces in 1949. And finally, in 1999, the Nunavut Territory would make Canada as we now geographically know it today. Structure and function for a newly established multinational enterprise in Canada. Canada's current regional development policy is New Regionalism that centers around meta-governance. New regionalism begins from the premise that regions need to maximize investments in local assets that cannot be easily replicated or moved to other parts of the globe or country. Contracts are the principal means for aligning national policy goals with regional priorities to be implemented through network relations among public, private, and community sectors. culture information for a newly established multinational enterprise in Canada. In general, Canadians communicate in a simple and clear style with no underlying intentions. When it comes to evaluating Canadian employees, they prefer a happy medium between being corrected in public and in private, where feedback is given candidly without the intent of being spiteful. Canadians lean towards preferring a flat organizational structure. It would be wise for a multinational enterprise to gain a general consensus on decision making and then allow the leader to have the last word. Trust is built through the demonstration of reliability and solid performance. Members neither embrace confrontation or avoid it. People expect colleagues and events to be prompt. Canadians prefer facts to be presented before theories. Aspects that make conducting business in Canada favorable. In 2011, Forbes magazine ranked Canada as the best country in the world in which to do business, and it was also the fastest growing nation for the G7. A business in Canada has many factors to take into consideration upon starting up that range from legal considerations, taxation, officiating personnel and offices to operate in designated provinces or territories, and determining the best organizational structure. According to Mr. Wisema, the first step in entering a foreign export market is tailoring your product or service in a manner appropriate to the destination. This means surveying existing competing products and usually paring back more expensive features. The next steps are determining the approach to entering the market and establishing the most tax favorable structure for doing business. Indirect approaches have the benefit of minimizing risk, while direct approaches have the benefit of maximizing control. If a multinational enterprise decides to incorporate as a business entity with share capital, then it can take advantage of limited liability and statutory shareholder rights and remedies. It is in the best interest of a multinational enterprise in Canada to incorporate at the federal level, even though there is a caveat. Federal incorporation permits the corporation to carry on business in every province in Canada without being licensed by the provinces, although provincial registration may still be required. Conducting businesses through a branch office is another potential benefit that a multinational enterprise in Canada can leverage if they act in accordance with the Investment Canada Act and ensure proper provincial registration and licensing are in order. A branch office operates as an arm of the foreign business, which may enjoy tax advantages from such an arrangement. The Investment Canada Act is a federal statute of broad application regulating investments in Canadian businesses by non-Canadians. And multinational enterprise should engage in scientific research and development if it aligns with the objectives of the organization because of the potential financial benefits. According to Ford and others, Canada's Scientific Research and Experimental Development Tax Credit Program is one of the most generous research and development incentive support programs in the world. In 2006, the Canadian federal government provided over $3 billion in tax assistance to Canadian business doing research and development. Also, the SRED program is not subject to an annual budgetary limitations, and funding of the program is unlimited. It is also a general rule that anyone that wants to work in Canada has to first obtain a job offer confirmation. However, because multinational enterprises employ professionals in management or specialized personnel transfer within an international organization, then it can benefit from one of the exemptions to the job offer confirmation process that are made available under the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, or through the Canadian immigration regulations and policies. Business in Canada unfavorable. Manufacturing may not be the best industry selection choice for a multinational enterprise that is planning to enter into Canada. Canada's manufacturing industry was and continues to be ravaged by competition from cheaper labor markets. The percentage of Canada's workforce employed in manufacturing dropped from 20% in the late 1970s to half that in 2010. No Canadian jurisdiction has adopted the limited liability company or limited liability partnership forms of business organization sometimes seen in the United States. Additionally, Section 116 of the Canadian Tax Code restricts the sale of Canadian assets by foreign investors. Sales of these assets can require clearance certificates and the imposition of special transaction taxes. Business and interesting aspects of conducting business in Canada. The environment has become such an important issue that it is imperative that anyone in a business venture in Canada be fully informed on the relevant environmental laws and what they allow and prohibit, and how to respond to the demands of both governments and the public. Because the influence of both the English and the French settling in the area before Canada was officially a country, a multinational enterprise must be aware that Canada is a bilingual country. The Charter of the French language grants individuals in Quebec with the right to be communicated to in French. The vast majority of multinational enterprises workforce needs to learn both French and English, and products and services need to communicate in both French and English to comply with all Canadian provinces and territories. HR-specific challenges that multinational enterprises experience in Canada. 9 of the 16 issues that are listed in the diagram are concern for Canadian human resources and management professionals. Van Ryzen are concerned with controlling current program costs. Oberman quotes Jacobs by saying, "The main concern for multinational Novartis Pharmaceuticals is how to maintain the high-quality, competitive benefits program that we now offer in the face of ever-rising health and welfare insurance premiums," says Jason Jacobs, Director of Communications for Novartis Pharmaceuticals Canada Incorporated. Ms. Gretchen Van Ryzen is also worried about understanding the size and nature of companies' global pension liabilities. These facets must be addressed in order to allocate the proper level of funding for benefits. Funding pension plans is a key issue for global companies, according to Van Ryzen. Given the increased costs over the days when interest rates were higher, it may be time for some companies to redesign their plans. Mr. Orth, Mr. Tversky, and Ms. Johnston are focused on attracting and retaining key talent. Stephanie Overman quotes that, "Everybody is fishing from the same pool. It is a very competitive market," says Scott Orth, National Leader of Human Resource Development for Golder Associates Limited in Burnaby, British Columbia. Doug Chervinsky, Chief of Human Resources at Seven Oaks General Hospital in Winnipeg, sees the main challenge as recruiting, retaining, and developing leaders. Colleen Johnston, Human Resources Manager for Manitoba Liquor Control Commission in Winnipeg, calls succession planning the most critical human resources issue. Mrs. Van Ryzen also has her sights set on managing healthcare and social welfare issues in a population. Stephanie Overman points out that aging populations require multinational companies to look more carefully not only at their healthcare and drug costs, but also at the cost of their disability management programs, particularly in the areas of depression and mental health, says Gretchen Van Ryzen. She's the Vice President of Global Pension and Benefits for CIBC, which has operations in the United Kingdom, the United States, Asia, and the Caribbean in addition to Canada. Mrs. Cullen is concerned with improving the efficiency of program delivery. Change management and benefits integration are top challenges for Vicki Cullen, Manager of Human Resource Services. Change management and benefits integration are vehicles that enhance program delivery because they garner employee buy-in and clarify the synergy of better benefits overall at a reduced cost. Mrs. Bouillon and Mr. Janish are both concerned with developing a global pension and employee benefits program strategy, but from different perspectives. According to Oberman, INCO takes a decentralized approach, says Annie Bouillon, pension and benefits manager. We don't want to be looking at the same benefits in Indonesia as in Canada, for example. With the local markets, we give them support. We want to make sure they are competitive. We want them to be following the market and our industry. We don't want to be the only one giving a certain type of benefit, she says. But multinational companies need a centralized benefit strategy to maintain global alignment with the overall business strategy, argues Erwin Janish, Senior Vice President of Aon Consulting. Mrs. Janier is worried about addressing skill shortages for her firm. For Heather Janier, Manager of Human Resources and Industrial Relations, compensation at SaskTel and Regina, the biggest problem is to find skilled workers. Thank you.